Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer. And now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Hi there, I'm John Malos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Monday morning. It's on the air, off the presses. You'll want to call in on this one at 436-ME-TV option 11. We're going to be talking to a photographer, a former news photographer, a photojournalist. That's right. He's worked at all the stations across the board. You're welcome to call in. Back with our On the Air, Off the Presses program in a moment. And we're back here on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Monday. It is on the air, off the presses, and you are welcome to call in anytime. We're here for the full 60 minutes, 10 to 11 o'clock in the morning now, of course, 436-ME-TV option 11. And today we're going to be talking to a photojournalist that's been around longer than I have, my friends, and I've been around a long time, so it's hard to find these people that have been around longer than I have. But they are out there, and we found one today. I say that very gently and kindly. Anyway, he is a photojournalist, and he still is, although he's retired. But, you know, once a photojournalist, always a photojournalist. He took some videotape while he was still working, and he's worked at all the stations across the board. You're talking about KMPH Fox 26 when they first started in Visalia. Then he went to Channel 47, then to Channel 30, back to 47, over to 21. He retired as a photojournalist at Channel 24. Now, before the days of the iPhone and the, well, they call this shock TV. He does anyway. Before the days of real shock television, it was kind of uncommon to catch something on videotape as it was happening. Now it's done all the time thanks to cell phones like this one, the iPhone. You can capture just about anything from any viewer that's watching, and they get it in the studio, put it on the air. But back in the old days, a photographer had to get it, or a station didn't have the video to show to you at home. Back in 2005, 2006, a police shooting, involved shooting, took place in the city of Visalia, and our guest today rolled right up on the scene and got this shooting in action. Take a look and a listen.
Copy, that's right, passing division. 6-7. Northbound Giddings.
That's it. Give me the camera. Give me the camera.
39 advising shots fired. Advise looking.
First on the scene at that shooting, that police-involved shooting, is this man right here. Our guest in the studio today, Oscar DeLeon. He's been a photographer, a photojournalist for many, many years. We're here to talk to him about, well, what does this all mean? You know, in the old days, you either roll up on the scene and boom, you take your video camera out and start rolling. Nowadays, people do it all the time with a device like this, an iPhone. So, you know, back then it was not as commonplace as it is now. And really, is that shock television? We kind of saw it in action. Police shooting a suspect who was suspected to be a cop killer at that time, back in 2005, 2006. But how much of a shock would it be in this day and age if somebody rolled on the scene and videotaped it with a cell phone and took it to a station? I don't know. We'll talk to Oscar about that. And what do you think about the state of television news these days? 436-MeTV, option 11. Do call in. We'll talk to Oscar. We have a lot of video to show you. Stuff that he has witnessed throughout the course of time, my friends. We'll be back on Connect with Me on Comcast Channel 187, 43.6 in one momento. Stay there.
When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Unbelievable video. We may show that again. Put up a disclaimer, though, if you so choose. But Oscar DeLeon is here. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Very good, very good. Thank you.
So that was taken back in 2005, 2006, circa, somewhere in that range.
Right, towards the end of my career.
Yeah. Now, you were in Visay at that time.
Right. I've been stationed there, working for 24 for about 7 years, running one of those live vans. Again, that's a shot in a lifetime to get shots like that in those days. You know, they say those are the video that you win awards, video that you get jobs. And my reporter at the time did get a job, did go to one of the top 20 markets.
Who was that?
Her last name was Cantu.
Okay.
But just on that video alone, she got a job. You know, of course, you know, we don't get jobs, but the reporters usually get the jobs and move up and go on to bigger and better things.
How did you first hear about that particular incident?
Police scanners, as usual.
Okay.
You hear the police scanners going, and you hear they're over here on Caldwell and Acres, and they're over here at Mooney, and they're over here. So it's like chasing a cloud or chasing lightning or something. You can't do it. It's nearly impossible. This was, I don't know, 100,001 chance that we got it that the way you see it. But you know, you can't chase the wind. You just can't chase it.
Yeah. Now you happened up on the scene. You were the first on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, no other photographers there.
Yeah.
Were you rolling as you were driving?
No. I was driving the live truck at the time, and I had the camera set up, and I started it. I pulled over, started it, gave it to my reporter.
She was rolling.
She's rolling on that first initial stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you see all the movement and getting back out on the streets, that's myself.
Now,
But
that was the SWAT team that showed up.
yes.
They had been looking for this suspect for a long time?
They'd been chasing him for a week almost out of Santa Cruz, and he was labeled as a cop killer. I mean, there was no question. You know, armed, dangerous, and do not approach. Call, you know, police enforcement right away. So, you know, and you saw he had a weapon. He was, you know, he was being chased by the police, and he was very, very dangerous.
Oscar, I got to ask you, because you don't, what does that mean for a photographer back in those days to get a shot like that? Because today we see it all the time. Well, I just recently witnessed the video of those police officers in New York that took down that African-American man with a chokehold, and he died.
Right.
That was taken with a cell phone.
Right.
There was no photographer on the scene. So the kind of video that you shot was rare at the time.
Yes.
And a photojournalist can wait a lifetime and not get a shot like that.
That's it. You wait a lifetime. Believe me, it's, You know, I worked in the industry 32 years. I shot that 2 years before I retired.
And never had shot anything
Never
like that before.
Similar, but nothing like that. Like I said, if you stay in the business long enough, and I mean 32 plus years, you will catch up and see some of that stuff. And you'll see it sometimes, but your camera's not on.
But we're not shocked by it anymore.
No, no.
So is there something wrong with that?
I think so. I mean, I think it's shock TV, but you know, the young kids now that watch that and play the video games, and I don't want to make no excuses on that, but you know, in combination of everything, yeah, they're pretty numb to this. I believe that they're numb.
They're numb to it because of some of the video games and the other stuff that we
Yes.
see on cable
Yeah.
TV now and satellite television. Of
Yeah.
course, it's not that big a deal. But back then, I mean, this is a real shooting.
A real, you know, it's like when I right after I shot the footage, I mean, I was scared. There's no question. I was scared. And if you noticed, as I'm approaching, I hear the gunshots. I drop down to one knee, thinking, bigger, smaller target is a better target. So I dropped down to one knee and then slowly approached it because, you know, they're shooting towards me. If you notice, I'm between the guy and the shooting. So afterwards, the witnesses were saying that they were running opposite and I was running towards it. And, you know, you hear the interviews afterwards. And,
Yeah.
and it's pretty crazy that you know, that I did that to begin with. And to tell you the truth, after it was all said and done, I went home after the noon live shot to go home and be with my wife type.
Yeah.
Because I thought I dodged a bullet. I should have
Barely.
I should have been shot, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
You were in the line of fire.
It was. I was.
Hey, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to congratulate Oscar. I remember and I recall that name completely because anytime he was ever at any of those stations that you mentioned, and the reporter would come on the air and they showed a video, they would say, and on camera, Oscar DeLeon.
Yeah.
They always said that. And let me tell you, that was quite a scene right now that he showed us. One question, when you were at these kind of events or whatever, were you ever scared that you might get hurt or anything?
No, not really at the time. You know, because you're always in the cutting edge, always either following firemen, either following ambulances or police officers, sheriffs. So, no, you never really think about that. You really don't. You know, it's hard to say at the time, but no, and we'll show you another video, and it shows a little different tint to it.
Yeah.
Well, that was really great work, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling. You ever pull up into a scene and you're right there, they haven't put up the police tape yet, and then you're ushered away and told to get away, and have you ever kind of, you know, maybe
rubbed them the wrong way?
Rubbed the police the wrong way and said, hey, look, I'm here doing a job, you can't push us back. Have you ever gotten into it with authorities?
The same incident because, you know, the graphics. I mean, I was approached immediately by one of their superiors that they wanted to see if they wanted my video.
Oh, really?
Yes. I mean, they approached me right away. I mean, they saw me floating around while they were doing their business. And right away I said, sure, here, talk to my boss. So, and I got my boss on the phone. I said, here, talk to my boss. If he gives it to you, I'll give it to you. So.
What happened?
Oh, got nothing, of course. It was like, whatever you want to see, you can watch it at 12 o'clock newscast.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, no disrespect, believe me, no disrespect, but it's like we have our jobs, they have their jobs. And sure enough, you know, we were sitting there getting ready to do our interviews. Doing the live report at noon, and we're sitting in the truck, and you know, it's still exciting and very chaotic. And you watch a group of police officers walk over to, and they had arranged it obviously, walk over to a house, walk into the house and watch the noon newscast in that lady's house. To see that footage. They wanted to see that footage as soon as it came to the air.
Yeah. Now, don't forget, you know, the job of any photojournalist, we're talking with Oscar DeLeon, photojournalist for all the stations here at one time or another in the Fresno area. The job of any photojournalist or any reporter is to inform you, the viewing public at home, and also keep in mind, you know, he's in competition with other stations. Channel 30, Channel 26, he was first on the scene. They're not going to share the video. They're not going to give it up. They have a job to do. You're welcome to call in and talk about this Shock TV. You're watching Shock TV right now here on Connect with Me. 436-ME-TV option 11. We're going to come right back and shock you with more shocking video in a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
It's on the air, off the presses today with Oscar DeLeon, a photojournalist for all of the stations at one time or another. He's been inside the sacred walls of each and every station and has seen behind the scenes what goes on at each venue. And so before we get into the next video, I want to ask you something. So let me put you on the spot. Which station is most disorganized?
I was disorganized.
Yeah, which station, they don't have a clue as to what's going on behind the scenes. You're turning red.
Well, let's put it this way. When I was working at 26 at the time, back
in 26?
Let me finish. Let me finish. When I was working at 26 at the time, back in 1974, they didn't even have a news department.
They didn't?
No.
Really?
What I was doing was I was like the shipping, receiving clerk.
Yeah.
And on the weekend, I would go out and film things, and they would show it on Monday morning, cut-ins in the morning, little news briefs and stuff, and they'd show my footage, and that was it. But no, like I said, it's not 26, but they didn't even have a news department at the time.
You know, I'm just messing with you.
Of course.
They all do a fairly good job with the staffs that they have, and you know, I'll get into the next star thing with 24 and 47 in a moment. I want to continue with Visalia shooting number 2 because this is the suspect on the ground. We're not going to play the sound on this, just the video so we can kind of talk over it, because I want Oscar to describe what the scene was like there, chaotic at the time, 2005, 2006. You can look up here or look up there on the monitor. It might be a little bit easier for you. You know, at this point, the suspect was shot.
Right.
They're going through his pockets now, looking for any other weapons, I'm assuming, Oscar?
Exactly. You know, it's like at this point myself, I'm trying to get, okay, I have the suspect. I want to see who else is involved. Now, I'm assuming this guy's involved because he's on the ground. I'm thinking maybe he was shot. Well, he wasn't. He was the truck driver of that truck he's sitting next to, and basically he's about, you know, just, scared to death. And then
he had no involvement with the suspect.
None whatsoever.
Innocent bystander.
So you're just floating the camera, thinking, okay, this, that. You have to keep an eye constantly on maybe somebody approaches, maybe the wife shows up, maybe somebody else. So you need to be as alert as possible. And this poor guy's calling his wife and telling him, you know, I'm coming home, or get me a doctor's appointment. I'm not sure. This poor guy just looked. I don't even say he was shot, but he wasn't moving a lot. But you just have to keep floating that camera around, and you know, if you look closely, you'll see him approaching me, thinking, you know, what did you see and what did you do, and what did you actually get? Because they want to know. I'm part of the investigation. I mean, I got this. The camera got to see. You know, like I said, I'm looking at. I'm not actually looking at the viewfinder. I'm looking constantly at the scene in case somebody else shows up.
Yeah, in case anything else breaks out, the second suspect or something of that nature. Now, did the suspect, did he die?
He eventually passed away. I never, like I said, after my initial video and stuff, I started backing up and started thinking what my next step was, get ready for the noon live shot, feed the video down, get the truck ready. I mean, it's like I can't even think of what's going on after that scene itself, because my job is now to get it on the air and get it on as fast as possible so we can show 30 and 47 that, hey, we got somebody at Visalia that is going to show you up.
Now, yeah, let me ask you a question, though, and you may think this is a ridiculous, stupid question, because I've been in the industry, a long time as well, but why is that video and why is that story significant? Because the biggest criticism I hear of television news now is, okay, all you do is chase sirens, you chase ambulances. Why is this significant for us? We'll answer that on the other side of this call here. Good morning, caller. What's your question?
And that's pretty exciting stuff that you're showing. Question for your guest: when he shoots sensitive video like that, has it ever been like requisitioned by PD or DA to be used as evidence to build a case against a perpetrator of a crime perhaps like the one that you showed? Have you ever has the station ever had to give up what would be proprietary video to help the DA make a case?
It's a good question. Normally, they would have to subpoena, they would have to argue. We're not going to give the video to anyone that we don't want to give it to. Now, I'm not saying police officials aren't, camaraderie type thing, and we are out in the field most of the time, but when it comes down to what they want, what we have, or vice versa, it's a real strong line there, because, like I said, without a subpoena, without something real concrete, our job is to shoot it. Their job is to investigate it. But no, I don't recall ever them, although we were waiting for subpoenas and stuff, and they might have. I just didn't know or heard about it at all.
Yeah. Why is this story significant? Why was it significant at the time? I know that sounds like a dumb question,
yeah.
But
again, because crime is crime, and the bad guys always get away. I mean, these guys are shooting and get away, and they're arrested years later, months later, and this came beginning in and beginning, middle, and the end, right in one shot. I mean, that's it. You have the final product less than 40 seconds or a minute, whatever it is. So you get to see the start to finish, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
So this character here, this suspect, was a danger and a menace to society.
Exactly.
So is that the significance of this whole thing?
I think so. Now, nowadays, or the last 10 years or so, all, and I'll say all Fresno wanted was blood and guts. Nothing more, nothing less. They wanted shootings, cryings, and
you mean every station across the board? They wanted to lead with a story like that.
Right. But what I'm saying was, they want to lead with crime. Not shooting, kidnapping, fire, crash, death.
Right.
And myself, I mean, I hate to say it nowadays, but I really do. But I'd be sitting in the living room interviewing either the widow, the victim, or somebody that was bothered by the crime, and they're sitting there and we're interviewing them,
and the suspect's on the loose somewhere,
and they're crying and stuff. So
yeah. All right, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead. Well, you were. Call back again at 436-ME-TV, option 11. And in the last 5 years, as I said, television news has been dominated by cell phone video. We see it on the national newscasts all the time, day in and day out. Now, I remember my days at KMPH, we used to have these news meetings. I don't know about you guys, but we had these news meetings. And the mentality was, okay, for the 10 o'clock news, I don't know what it was for you guys, but you'd send the photographers out at night to patrol the streets and find something that's going on, whether it's a crime in progress, whether it's a burglary, maybe a fire, a break-in, whatever the case, a shooting, whatever the case may be, and that would be our lead story. We didn't necessarily enterprise a story, So what's the mentality now from what you've seen in television news?
Well,
How much has it changed?
It hasn't changed really that much in the last 10 years. Like I said, look at the news. Just watch the first 3 to 5 stories.
It's crime, huh?
It's crime, in aftermath and the court case that having to do with murder and this and that, and and I hate to say it, I still watch it. I'm addicted to news TV, and I would say.
Is that why stations do it? Are people at home, the audience, are they addicted to this kind of stuff? I mean,
yes.
you look at the television show Cops.
Yeah.
How many years has that thing been on the air?
Yeah.
Forever. I mean, is that what people crave for? Is that what they want?
They're accustomed to it. So if you don't give them what they're accustomed to, then they're going to look around, switch around, So back in, I don't say in the 70s, I thought there was a better balance. I mean, we used to shoot nice feature stories and crime stories and this stories and consumer stories,
political stories,
and it was a balance, but now you show me one feature and it's probably once a week, one every other week. Show me an interesting person,
because the appetite isn't there.
Right.
Okay. All right. We're talking with Oscar DeLeon. He's a photojournalist, has worked at every station across the board. More video to come here on Connect with Me, and more of your phone calls if you want to call in on Shock TV. Connect with Me, 436-ME-TV, option 11, in just a moment.
I love a joke.
Say, Lucy.
Yeah, Ricky?
A tramp came up to me in the street and he said he hadn't had a bite in weeks.
What'd you do, bite him? Opening butler joke, buddy, come on.
The master says to the butler, Jeeves, did you put fresh water in the goldfish bowl? And the butler says, why? They didn't drink up what I gave them last night.
You know that ancient joke about the guy who saves his regiment, shoots the cook?
No. Now, how does it go?
Got a call coming out of the break. I believe you're on the air, caller. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you've ever had any of your work edited to where you see it later on TV saying, hey, I was there. That's not what really happened, Just wondering if that's the news to make it more spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, what you saw right now never played television. Back then, they would not show that. This is the first time it's been shown on television, intact. That's never been shown. Because,
wait a minute, let me get this straight now.
Yes.
Back in 2005 or 6, whenever this was shot, this video, 24 did not show it in its entirety because why?
A little too violent, I guess, at the time. I'm not sure, but when I saw it on TV, I sat there and I go,
they didn't even show the shots ringing out.
Well, they did, because you don't see much. But as far as some of the close-ups or some of the other stuff that you actually saw, that was never shown. And I even called back and questioned my boss, like, wait a minute, why didn't you show more? I mean, oh, we can't show that. We just, and I thought, then why am I out here and why am I shooting it if you're not going to show it?
Yeah. Why did you risk life and limb, line of fire, not to show the video?
They did not show it. They didn't show it.
So this is the first time that's been shown?
Yes.
Wow. Maybe we ought to show it again. I mean, so what did you think at that point? Were you upset?
I was very upset. I mean, I'm not saying show the blood and guts, but show some of it, and I'm saying some of it. Back then they put a little blurry dot on some of the stuff. They could manipulate it, but I think they were in shock to see something like that to begin with. They didn't.
Would it be a shock today, and in this day and age, 2014, would any station run it in its entirety?
Absolutely not.
They wouldn't,
no.
Even in this day and age?
No, again, they're afraid lawsuits. They're afraid of somebody's going to call and complain. Heaven forbid somebody calls and complain.
Yeah, and that's what they're afraid of.
Yes.
But, okay, a lawsuit, the only thing is, I mean, this actually happened. You happen to be on the scene. videotaping an event that actually happened. So where's the lawsuit come in?
I couldn't tell you, like I said.
You're not an attorney, so.
No. But you know, you'll have somebody
violation of somebody's rights or
complaining.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, you got to feel sorry for somebody or something. I'm not sure.
All right, caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, I'm calling. I was wondering, this guy DeLeon that takes the videos.
Yeah, go ahead. You got to turn down the sound on your TV, please. Turn down the sound.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if you ever been threatened by the good old boys in Fresno. That some of the videos you taped, they wanted to take them from you, like you said that your boss wouldn't let them.
Yeah. Okay. Did you get the question?
No, I didn't quite hear it.
I did. Did you ever get harassed by the good old boys here in Fresno?
I could tell you stories.
Tell me one. We have time for one.
I just don't have footage to show.
Yeah.
That particular footage that we had was confiscated. Now, that's totally a different show, I'm telling you right now, but back in...
Fresno Police Department?
Fresno Sheriffs.
Okay.
And one time back in probably the late 70s, we had a situation, and we were threatened by, and we were not one-on-one threats, but it's like you know you're in serious trouble if it goes any further. And because it was Friday night, the story got shown Saturday, and then it disappeared.
What story was it?
It had to do with Christmas parties that had gambling. They were busting these type of Christmas parties back in the 70s. That the Christmas party, and there was gambling and stuff, and they were having great times, and they were busting grocer union parties, and then wouldn't you know it, they were having the same similar parties.
The sheriff's department were having similar parties.
County
employees. Okay, so that videotape was, as I understand it now, was confiscated by the sheriff's department on the scene?
It disappeared.
It disappeared.
It disappeared
okay.
After it showed once.
Okay.
But, like
have you ever been, like, you were approached on this video that we showed, of course, but have you ever been harassed to the point where you had to give it up, like right there on the scene?
No,
Okay.
no, because they obviously know better, but
right.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay, another piece of videotape. This is called Fresno shooting. I don't. Let's talk over this. We might want. No, we got sound on this.
It goes quick.
Okay, let's play it and listen to what you had to.
1980s.
1980s. All right.
Mid 80s.
Let's listen to it and watch it.
Everybody okay? Yep. You okay? Yeah. Greg? Greg? You all right?
$2.11.
There he goes.
Back to channel 1.
Hands behind your back.
The Fresno ought to be secure emergency traffic subject to custody. Would you go back to channel 1, please?
There he is. He can't run out here.
If you're just joining us, you're not watching the television show Cops. You're actually watching Connect with Me here on MeTV Fresno, Comcast 187, 43.6. The video you just saw was a Fresno shooting suspect that they arrested back in the mid-'80s, and the man who took that videotape was Oscar DeLeon, working for what station at what time?
Channel 47, mid-'80s.
Wow. Okay. I saw Mike Scott, a young Mike Scott in the video there.
Right.
So give us the story about guns drawn, going upstairs into an apartment unit, and, you know, arresting this suspect on the scene who had a weapon. Pointed the weapon at you.
Exactly. Now, that was the very first time that happened, so it was very, very terrifying. I mean, you know, it could have easily gone off, and it should have gone off, but it didn't. But that was the area around Belmont and Belmont Fresno Street.
Okay.
And we had heard in the scanners again, basically, that there was a suspect breaking into cars, and he was a burglary suspect, and they had cops almost at every corner, and we had about 3 crews looking in the area. It's one of those things that, you know, when you have a little downtime, you can go in and saturate the area and maybe find the guy. And that's what happened. He kept up on top of us, and you know, I can't explain it other than that. But the real story was not so much that story, that when it aired on television, they buried it in the second section. It's like, no, we don't want to lead with that. And I don't know for whatever reason, but that story did not lead the newscast.
And you felt it should have been the first story.
Second story.
Second story, because
the exciting action footage that you see. I mean, it's not quite as exciting as the other one, but boy, let me tell you, my adrenaline was pumping.
Yeah, see, the difference between getting a story that's got dramatic video and something that, you know, you're telling a story that has wallpaper video. You've heard that term,
yes.
Wallpaper video. Wallpaper video meaning that the video is so boring you can fall asleep during the story, no matter how good the writing is by the reporter.
Right.
The visual, the video, still makes the story because television is a visual medium.
Yeah. A week later, I was in a conference in LA, and I showed that footage in Los Angeles. And I was part of a panel, and I showed them the video, and I said, what do you think? And they liked it, obviously, and then I told them where it wound up, and they were very shocked and surprised. Like,
well, that suspect was told to put his gun down more than once.
Right.
All right. Fresno police, usually they don't mess around. If you don't put your gun down, you're dead.
Yeah.
You point that gun at anybody, you're dead.
Yeah.
Back in the mid-'80s, I don't know what the mentality was, probably different than it is now. It's a different culture, different time, different era. But do you think part of the reason that suspect was not shot by police was because your camera was there?
I want to say a combination of that and maybe the guys, I don't want to say trigger happy, you know, I don't want to say that, but maybe these guys they can restrain themselves. I'm not sure, because I don't know if you notice, there's 2, maybe 3 guys with guns pulled.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
You know, now somebody could get happy and the story changes.
Yeah. Good morning, caller. What's your question?
So your guest has worked with all of the biggies in the local television journalism, like maybe Colin Doherty or Bob Long, Brent Amani.
Keep going.
Don Elliott. Any of these guys sound familiar? Did you work with these guys?
I actually
they
did.
Must have been...
I actually did. I got to work with Bob Long when I was at 24. I caught the last 3 years of his career. Brent Amani, I didn't, but we were out in the field at the same times, and I don't know what other names you mentioned.
How about Colin Doherty?
Colin Doherty, I actually did work with Colin Doherty when I worked at, when I started in Fresno in '74.
What kind of a news reporter or anchor was he?
Well, remember, he's my first news director, so I'm not real familiar with everything, but you know,
he was also the news anchor.
Right.
Reporter
That's what it was. You had 3 hats on. So
was he a go-getter?
Go-getter. I mean, we used to do a lot of stuff, and I remember some of the interviews I got to do with him, and you know, I can go back and You know, we interviewed Ray Charles. I mean, these are not
All right.
hardcore.
Colin was a guest here on our show, Oscar, and he actually showed this video. I don't know if you were there at the time. You may recall the story when this doctor performed an abortion.
Oh, no.
And I don't know if you had been working at Channel 47 during that time period, but very dramatic video, very controversial video. He's working at the Catholic station now here in town.
Used to. He's retired.
Oh, he's retired now. Colin retired?
I take that back. He's still
He's still there?
Right.
He's still there. So were you used to doing controversial type things?
Not at all.
back
Like
then,
I said, I was just a little greenhorn photographer trying to
learn the ropes.
Learn the ropes. Like I said, it took, I don't say 5 years, because by the starting time at 26, mid 70s, by the late 70s, I was photo chief for Channel 30 for about 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, back then it was quite a bit.
Chief photographer, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Channel 30.
Yeah.
All right. And your son is there right now.
Exactly, yes. I'm very proud of him.
He's been there, what, 10 years
10
now?
years, and I'm sure I like it more than he did. Or
I think you enjoyed the industry.
I did.
Maybe more than your son. Your son does it as a job. You did it for the love of the game, right?
I'm telling you, to go to work every day and forget the pay. I mean, that tells you right there. I mean, I'm working for any salary at any station. Think about it, because I left 30 and I was making very decent wages, and then 47 matched, and then from then on it was like slide back down. But what it was that I could do a lot of outside work, and that's what offset my income.
All right, talking with Oscar DeLeon, a photojournalist for all the stations here in town, including 26, 21, all the 3 majors. Back in just a moment.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here on the show with Oscar DeLeon, let's roll another piece of videotape, and it is one of your favorite news anchors here in town, parachuting at the time. Oscar, take us through this. Look at the video up there. There it is, right there.
I like to call this celebrity parachuting.
Yeah.
See if you can recognize this person.
What year was this?
This had to be 96, 95.
Okay. You can turn around and look at that one
pretty
right
close,
there.
pretty close.
Yeah, yeah.
But we were all off duty, so we weren't doing this for either station. This was like home video for each other. So I wasn't getting paid, and she was just there enjoying.
Where was this?
Madeira, parachute stuff. Madeira.
Okay. All right, and another one coming down right there. But the first one who came down, you ought to be able to recognize her. I know who she is,
I
and
would.
we all do. But okay, let that videotape roll out to the bitter end, and we'll find it. Is that you?
No.
Okay.
I would never do that.
Why?
Never. And
Why?
I thought about it, but never. It's, put the camera on a parachute and throw it out the window.
Right.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Someone.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't noticed by now, it's Graciela Morena. She is the anchor at Channel 30 now, but at the time she worked at Channel 21.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so that was a lot of fun, I would imagine.
It was. Back then, gosh, working for 21, I'm telling you, I had some of the best fun, really, working at 21.
Tell us about Graciela and what she's like to work with. You worked with her for how many years over at 21?
3 or 4 years. She showed up in my midterm being at 21, and I worked there almost a little over 7 years. And she showed up, and I thought to myself, boy, she's wasting her time here, because she can write, she's got degrees, she's got the looks. Why are you here? And she said, well, she wanted to get her, so to speak, her dues paid here, working at the Spanish TV. And so, you know, within time it was, and I knew it was a matter of time she would get a job somewhere else, hopefully in town. And that's what happened. But
why do you suspect she decided to stay here if she was so good at writing?
Her parents are from here. Her family's here. I mean, that's what kept me here. I mean, I had my job offers to go to New York, L.A., San Francisco, but my family and her family's here. Now, I don't know if she would want me to tell this one story, but to show you what type of nice person she is, I don't believe she should be in this news business so much. I mean, it's a great industry, but I got word that she did what some of the Hispanic, Latino families dream of if when they become successful, when they go out and, I don't say purchase a house cash, but I got word that she bought her parents a house.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a dream we have. That's a dream.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's what she was able to do.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. With the degree that she had,
yes.
the experience she had,
like I said,
the opportunity that she had.
You can't find a nicer person in town. Next to Angelo, of course, he's on vacation. I mean, he's retired.
Angelo who?
You know, the weather guy.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Angelo? Stalis, something like that.
Right,
yeah.
right.
See? Out of sight, out of mind.
Don't
He's
forget,
retired, by the way.
Yes, that's right.
He's retired, and Kevin took over. So who was your favorite to work? You worked with all of them. You didn't work with me personally. But,
No.
You heard horror stories about me, I know that.
Well, but it's persons, I mean, there's actually
who did you enjoy? Did you work with Warren Armstrong?
Yes. In fact, we went to Korea for 4 days in Korea, which was very, I mean, there's another show.
With the Soul?
We stood on the 38 parallel line, stepped into the communist side for
30 seconds.
Yeah, came back, said we did it, we done it, and got out of there. But no, he is definitely, without sucking up to 30, really the nicest guy to work with. Like I said, there's a couple of guys I actually worked with in the mid 70s, who we were doing stories, and I mean features, sending them to CBS. They would show them on the weekends, national pieces.
What do you think about? We have another videotape to show, but I'm not going to show that just yet because I want to continue on this news theme here, and that is, what do you think about what's going on now? Nexstar owns 24, 47. They're sharing anchors, they're sharing reporters, they're sharing video, they share the same building, they're sharing a newsroom.
They might as well share the same straw in a cup.
Okay.
You know, that's what they're doing. I mean, to me, I mean, in this industry, I mean, you know, we're very, very competitive, very. And now that you're chummy enough to one station, you know, that's pretty outrageous.
It is, considering the era that you and I came from.
Yeah,
it's unheard of.
Yeah. You might as well use the same straw in a cup.
Yeah. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, it seems like the guy that was running with the weapon aimed the weapon at the cameraman, and then the cameraman went to a ground shot like he was taking cover or something. Did I see that correctly?
Absolutely. Are you crazy? You know, it's like, you know, he yelled, and it should have been the bullet yelling instead of the guy. I was terrified, absolutely.
Yeah. You saw that video correctly, sir.
He did aim the gun at the cameraman.
Oh, yeah, and then he panned down because he was ducking. I mean, he thought the shot was going to ring out any moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hey, no problem. So are there other things about the industry today that bother you? Because it seems like, you know, there are younger and younger reporters on the air with inexperience. It seems like some of these reporters, I don't know if I want to go this far as to say, you know, in your day and my day, the younger ones that came there were eager to learn.
Right.
Now it seems the younger ones that come there are on the air and they're pretty, what? What's the word? I know the word I want to use, but
Yeah.
I better not use it.
Yeah. Well,
what do you think?
My opinion, right away when I saw that, I thought, has the children's channel opened up a TV industry? Because, you know, they look younger and younger. And when we started, it was like an older anchor man with authority and with reputation, and then the younger guys came in and they would build that respect finally. And when they bring in the youngest ones and they look at them and they think, you know, this guy just came out of high school, not even college. So
right, but the mentality is different. The reporters, the younger reporters, almost act like they've been on the street for 20 years, and they just got there, and they have this aura and this attitude about them that maybe you don't have until 10 years in.
Right, right. Yeah, well,
I don't know.
They can sell real well.
I guess. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air. Caller, got to turn down your sound, please.
Oh, sorry.
Turn down your sound.
Sorry about that. I was listening to you, John. Actually, the clip that the running clip.
Yeah.
Can you guys show that again? That was pretty amazing.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about the very first clip that we showed in the monologue?
No, that one.
Oh.
I'm talking about the running gunman.
Yeah. Okay.
Freaking down the street shot.
Okay.
And
all right.
I bet you he's got really some stories to tell. So
Okay.
anyway, yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will show that. We got to take a break. We're going to be back with Oscar DeLeon in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy.
Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV.
Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Everybody okay? Yep. You okay? Yeah. Greg? Greg? You all right? There he goes.
Hands behind your back.
So we are showing the video one more time. You can see it rolling behind us here. The suspect not shot in this case. They, you know, they went easy on him and hauled him away. And so one of our callers wanted to see that video one more time. That's the gentleman. That's the suspect gentleman. Suspect who pointed the gun at you.
Right, right. Yeah, I was terrified. I was. I mean, this is the first time that's ever happened. And, you know, I've been into it probably almost 15 years, and that's the first time that's happened, so.
Yeah. Another piece of videotape. I want to talk about this because you talked or interviewed somebody who was actually, what, I'll let you explain it, Civil War, had to do with the Civil War.
I had heard him tell a story at this veterans group that I belong to now. It's Post 785 in Visalia. And we have these two elderly icons, I don't know what you want to call them, but they were telling each other stories. And I heard him tell a story having to do with when he was 12 and he's 90 now. He got to interview or talk to soldiers from the Civil War when they were in their 90s.
Unbelievable. Let's roll that videotape and listen to it.
I think when you said you were like 12 years old, you got to sit around and talk to some of the Civil War veterans.
Yes.
What do you remember about that day?
Well, this is about 1936. I was 12 years old at the time, and we had a lot of parades on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, not Veterans Day, but July 4th and stuff. And all the American Legion and Veterans Posts had drum and bugle corps. And in our town in Binghamton, New York, upstate, why, I'll bet you, as I recall it, maybe 15 or 20 of these drum and bugle corps came, and they all culminate at a square in our town of Binghamton. A big square where they had old Civil War cannonballs and cannons and all the statues of Civil War people. And here there were 13 Civil War veterans in the parade. They were in automobiles. And they came to the courthouse square and they put them in stands on the steps of the courthouse. And I thought, gee whiz, what a thrill for me. I was 12 years old. I ran around in back and came up behind them, and I had a piece of cardboard, and I didn't have a pencil, but I talked to several of the Civil War veterans and got their autographs. Two of the guys got their autographs.
So who is this gentleman that you talked to?
He's a gentleman part of our group, Post 785.
What's his name?
Steve Marusic.
Marusic. And so much like we do today in interviewing World War II vets that are in their 90s,
right,
back in the 30s, he got to talk to some Civil War veterans that were in their 90s.
He was also on that tour that they took to Washington, D.C. He was on the second group of those people that went.
Right. And why is this fascinating to you?
Oh, myself, being history, news in reverse, I love history. So whenever you can hear a story, and I'm always chasing the story. That's all I do nowadays.
Even though you're retired?
Doesn't matter. I'm going to chase it. If I hear a story, I'm going to chase it. And I have always, I guess since retirement, been chasing stories. And
see, it's in your blood. You can't really.
It
makes me wonder why you did retire.
Well, you know, you think you can go forever. Well, guess what? You can't. In fact, you know, you're competing and working right along next to 25-year-olds. And my goodness, you can keep up with them for a while, but after the fourth or fifth one, your gas tank's empty. So
yeah, and we got about a minute left. Your advice to any potential photojournalist that wants to get into the business, what is it that you have to have in your heart and your mind to succeed?
Describing myself as just a passion for people, because you're talking to them and you're meeting them, and for the first time, either in a tragic scene or a scene that they want to tell you the story of their father or something having to do very traumatic to this person. So you have to be real sensitive, I think, to the people around you when you're doing these stories. And I don't say I don't see that. More right now, what I see in photographers is they know every technical cameras, computers, every aspect of the technical part. They know that very well. They taught that in school. That's what they use.
Yeah.
But as far as handling people, I don't think they have that.
Yeah, they don't have a nose for news.
No.
All right, and they don't have a passion.
I don't think so.
All right, Oscar DeLeon, come back again. We'd love to have you.
I got more footage. I got more
footage. All right, he's going to be back again. Oscar DeLeon, we're happy to have him along here at Photojournalist for Every Station. Back with another edition of Connect with Me tomorrow on Comcast Channel 187, 43.6. Have a great day.